So thank you all for joining today. What we do monthly partner and best practices spotlight to kind of shine some lights on workforce development in the Commonwealth. We do this first Wednesday of each month at noon, so kind of a brown bag type of environment. And we wanted to make sure that our partner spotlights and are focused in on what the practitioners of workforce development want to hear. And we did a survey, try to catch the pulse on which you all are thinking. And overwhelmingly, the first selection was employer engagement. And I think that's a very key piece, because when we look at the workforce strategy in the Commonwealth, the Kentucky Workforce Innovation Board, our North Star is our strategic plan. And the strategic plan outlines 4 goals. Number 1 goal is employer-driven workforce system, employer engagement. And so a very good alignment there from what you all are thinking to what the workforce board is going in the direction of. And so to that end, we wanted to spotlight some of the pros in the Commonwealth that do really good employer engagement business services. So I'm very glad to have Charlotte Kearns and Jeremy Faulkner today to share their perspective and their approach to employer engagement. Charlotte is from Kentucky in the Works region, and Jeremy is from the Tenco region. So different workforce areas, different employers, but obviously same concerns are probably raised on both ends. So we want to hear from them. And then to you all in attendance, I know you guys represent different pieces in the workforce system. Some are directly touching employers, some are more working with talent, others are even businesses on here and trying to be mindful of the workforce system, the ever-evolving Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, and all the programs that come with it. So we appreciate you all being part of this conversation, and we'll start off with Charlotte first. But you all, if you have questions, if you have your own thoughts you want to share, this is the platform for it, because this is a professional development at the core of it. And please don't hesitate to ask and share your feedback. And with that, Charlotte, welcome. We'll have you go first.
No pressure with your introduction. So I'm going to share my screen. I have a brief slide deck. Don't worry, it's nothing real long to share with you all, to show you a little bit about the work that we're doing in the Kentuckiana Works region. So just a moment here. Sorry, my top toolbar is hidden here. I can't get it into presenting mode. Let's see if I can. Sorry about that, everyone. Some technology challenges.
We see everything though, Charlotte. It's good.
All right, can you see it now?
Yep.
All right, excellent. All right, so today I just want to talk to you a little bit about some of the strategies that our team uses to engage with businesses and how we connect with them from the beginning of our planning stages until when we're working and focusing on account retention and growing our service delivery. The first slide here talks a little bit about our new business development strategy. I think that's a very important part of the employer engagement piece, and how we set the expectations with the employer and lay the foundation for a long-term relationship. So this year, our team invested in an exercise called the Value Proposition Canvas. If you're interested in more information about that, I'd be happy to share it with you, but we worked collectively as a team to talk about the services that we offer and what value and benefits that brings to employer partners. And we developed our own team value proposition that we've all refined to our own individual sector-based strategy, but it really helps us keep our eye on the ball on what we're trying to accomplish with businesses, being strategic and connecting our business partners to resources with our partners and with the state offices. The next step in our initial planning strategy was We developed a tiered business solution strategy that I've included in this slide deck. It's a little difficult to read, but it shows you a little bit about how we structure our approach to businesses. So especially during the whole COVID experience, we had a lot of inbound requests and our offices were closed. So we had to figure out a way, how do we prioritize our business relationships and the services we offer? So we have a platinum, gold, and silver tiered approach, and it's really based on our contract performance metrics and what our funder expects. So targeted wage, is there an established career pathway? Are the employers really true partners reporting their placement outcomes, working with us to develop realistic job previews and job descriptions that attract our talent to want to apply, and looking at wage analysis information to address retention and all of those things that good partners do. So our primary focus is that platinum group, but of course we deliver services to everyone. But in terms of hiring events and consulting with our partners, that's really reserved for the folks that are highly engaged and that we're not just a checkbox that they posted the job with the Career Center, right? The next part of our strategy, we have a 5-step solution selling process that we use in our region. And part of that is addressing our territory. We cover a 7-county region for Kentuckiana Works. So that's a large region with 3 business solutions consultants. So we have assigned our business solutions by sector: healthcare, manufacturing, and IT and business services, and then divided our territory by zip codes. Why that's really important for us is we're not stepping on each other's toes. We're not calling each other's customers and prospecting the same people and duplicating effort, but really putting some strategic thought into how are we tackling the market and helping these high demand sectors to connect to talent. So how do we find these prospects? Some of the things that we use are listed here. We are daily avid users of KIBES for all of our activity tracking, our reporting to our funder. It's the tool that I use as a leader to manage my team's performance to make sure they're meeting their individual goals and also the goals of the project. And Kentuckiana Works has populated a lot of leads, about 25,000 or so in KIBES. So we're always looking for leads in KIBES. Also, the Office of Employer and Apprenticeship Services provides us with a couple of very strategic reports that align with our service delivery solutions. And that would be the Jobs EQ report. Hopefully you all are getting that, but if not, that's a great report that scrubs all of the job boards for available positions in our area. That helps the business solutions consultants to drill down on the high demand sectors that are tabbed in that report, I might add, and they're able to populate their top 25 target list. So my team is always keeping their eye on new business development and targeting new businesses that they want to connect with. 2 other great tools that we use are the Work Opportunity Tax Credit Report. That aligns with some of our focus in connecting to second chance employers and fair chance employers across the region. We use that tool routinely to see employers that are hiring justice-involved talent and help connect them to the resources we have, like the Kentucky Fair Chance Bond and the Work Opportunity Tax Credit. And last but not least is just old school networking and referrals, asking our current business partners, who do you know that could benefit from our services? And then communicating and being attentive to networking opportunities in our region. Once we've established contact with the business, we conduct a thorough needs assessment with our business partner to take a deeper dive to understand not only what jobs are you recruiting for, but what's the culture and environment of your company? What is your diversity, equity, and inclusion focus? Can someone coming into your company see themselves in a leadership role down the road? What's your interview process like? And is there a career pathway? So even for entry-level positions, we want to make sure that all of our participants are aware of what is the opportunity within this position to grow with this company, and do I see myself here long-term, so we can help address some of the retention strategies. We use the KIBES electronic needs assessment. So those of you that are familiar with KIBES, it's the Salesforce platform that we track all of our activity, but there is an electronic needs assessment tool that is of great value to everyone across the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Reason being, we have a lot of businesses in our region that have locations throughout the Commonwealth, and this is a wealth of knowledge about companies and some of the initiatives that they're doing, hiring trends, pay trends, and information that you can use when you walk into a business that you're going in a little bit warm. You have a little bit of information, and the research is, some of that research has already been done. Next, we've deployed on a very ground level the Northern Kentucky SWAT strategy. And that's very important for us. And what SWAT is for us is the Strategic Workforce Action Team. What that really means is after we meet with a business and we've conducted a needs assessment, we know what they're looking for, the type of talent they have, any specific hiring initiatives that they have, and we're aligning resources with our community partners to help with talent fulfillment. That's a very important part of customer satisfaction, helping people achieve the dignity of work and making that valuable connection. So thank you to Alice here for introducing us to that great strategy that we've deployed. And then lastly, we do provide LinkedIn and labor exchange job posting support, especially for those customers that we have within the high demand sectors that need some help. They have a lot of positions. We're helping them to get connected to these two great resources to promote their positions. The next slide talks about our tier business solution strategy. And I know it's difficult to read on this slide deck, but I've shared it with you just to give you an idea of what it looks like. You'll note that there's references here to Focus. This is in the process of being updated to include the new LinkedIn and labor exchange information. So just strike Focus from anywhere that you see that. But this will give you an idea of the framework that my team is using when we approach businesses daily and what services we're trying to connect them to. We don't deny anyone, but obviously we want to put more emphasis on focus on true partners that are engaged with our services, that understand that we have performance outcomes that we have to report on, and that we really need that two-way communication. So this really drives how do we build the relationship. The next part is what we're really here for, the employer engagement. So we've identified our prospects, we've met with them, we've understood their needs, we've connected them to partner resources to help with fulfillment. How do we keep the business? That's a really important part of what we do every day. How do we achieve that goal and have satisfaction with our businesses? So there are a lot of ways that we do that, and I tried to be most selective in what I shared with you today. So one of the ways that we do that is providing a consultative support strategy to all the businesses that we connect with. So we're knowledgeable of local labor market information. We use a career coach tool that Kentuckiana Works, our funder, has deployed on their website, where we can access wage data. We can provide information to help employers understand, why isn't anyone applying for my job, or why are people leaving, and see what's happening across the landscape of Kentuckiana Works. We also work with our business partners to create a realistic job preview. We've all seen those job descriptions that have 5 or 6 bullet points that must have this, required to have that, but really don't tell you, what do you do here? And we've used some tools with our outreach coordinator. We've created videos with employers where they talk a little bit about what their position looks like and creating that realistic job preview. Secondly, we took on a challenge this year, and this actually stems from an initiative through our funder. Back in 2020, they adapted a document called A Path Forward that really is supporting the intentional effort to advance racial equity and inclusion, which helps a lot of participants that fall into our career centers. In doing so, we invested in the Good Job Strategy. If you're not familiar with that book, I encourage you to research the Good Job Strategy and really understand what it is a good job. And if you think back to the consulting that we're offering to employers, that's really what it is. They have a wage, they have a voice, and that they're able to have opportunity to grow in a pathway. The second, or maybe it's not the second most important, but one of the top most important things we want to do is grow business and connect businesses to the programs that we offer. So we look at our employer penetration rate through KIBES again, because we document all the new programs that we're connecting employers to and the resources that they're able to access. And by doing so, we can see the program development, the services that we're offering to businesses, and really what the needs are within our region. Our team offers a variety of different touch points throughout the year to connect to employers, keep them engaged, and allow them to be involved. Our funder does host healthcare and manufacturing advisory committees that is comprised of employers throughout the region. But at our level, we're focusing on really providing thought leadership and positioning ourselves as experts. And we do that by doing quarterly employer incentive webinars where we're sharing information about basic career services that we offer through business solutions like the Kentucky Fair Chance Bond and the Work Opportunity Tax Credit. We also host a biannual community partnership event. And what that is alignment with Kentuckiana Works to be intentional in our efforts to advance racial equity, improve employment hiring outcomes for all people. And we invite partners throughout the region that offer services and have participants that need a good job opportunity, and we're connecting them to employers. We also do annual account business reviews. So when people on my team conduct a new business needs assessment, they can use KIBES to set a reminder to follow up in a year, to touch base, and they can update that assessment with changes in pay rate, the landscape of the employer site, and provide valuable information that our career coaches need in order to attract talent to fill those orders. We also provide quarterly LMI information that's provided by our funder and customized LMI information. So we sometimes have requests that might be county specific or industry specific, and we're able to prepare and present that information and remain knowledgeable on those sectors. We also have several targeted scheduled campaigns throughout the year that we focus on. They're usually 4 weeks in duration, and they are targeting prospects in businesses that we feel could benefit from our services. And there are several steps. They involve email and telephone touch point, with the end goal being a needs assessment to grow a new business. And a couple of those that we do are the Second Chance Month campaign that we do every April. And that ends with a hiring event. We invite employers that offer opportunities. And also we do a large manufacturing month event in October. There are others throughout the year that are also sector focused, but these are two of our largest campaigns. Those sector focused hiring events are focused on healthcare, IT, and business services and manufacturing. We do provide a weekly job seeker update, and that's just basically free promotion of the positions that our business partners have. It serves two purposes. It's providing information to all registered job seekers throughout our region, and also giving some exposure to employers that are hiring. We highlight the top jobs that fall within our contract performance goals. So typically that's a wage of at least $17 and up, full-time positions that have benefits and other good job qualities that help people want to have that job. And we also actively skill market. So those of you that might be like me that have a staffing background, we do a lot of skill marketing. So we do that too. So when we see hot talent come across our desk, we're marketing them to employers that we have a relationship with. We know what they're looking for in an employee, and we meet those people through our networking events, hiring events. We support a local job news job fair, and we also have a job seeker to business services referral process with our career coaches, where they can refer talent directly to us that are struggling to find a job or may have that purple squirrel difficult skill set to place. So they send them on to us, and then we help. And then, of course, now with the new addition of LinkedIn, we're able to see applicants and talent that we never had access to before. So now we can reach out and connect to that talent and skill market them. And what skill marketing really is we're contacting the employer, sharing their resume, and making that connection. And lastly, we do hiring and recruiting events throughout the year. In fact, we do them weekly. And that's really important for employers to be able to show what their business does and connect to the talent that we have. But we've added a few layers of quality initiatives to help really engage the employers. So instead of just showing up and setting up a table and see what they see and hopefully have good results, we are following up on the same day with a post-event survey where we're getting feedback about the quality of talent. We're also following up after the placement to see if the individual was a good fit in areas that there might be training gaps. We do follow up after the event and provide the resumes of all the hiring event attendees to our employer partners, so they're not having to struggle with managing all the paper. It's all in one place. And then we created a shared outcomes tracking document that we house on the Google Drive. So employers, not only can they populate their placement outcomes that helps us to capture that performance metric, but it creates a little sense of urgency for employers when they see hired next to a name. They know they need to get moving and start interviewing these folks if they want to have access to that talent. So that's a very high level overview of our employer engagement piece. This next slide, again, strike focus and replace with LinkedIn, really breaks down what our business services looks like by category, what we're providing. So we are providing recruiting and sourcing support, training enhancement, retention strategies. Of course, we would be remiss if we didn't mention rapid response, which is an important part of the work that we do when we're connecting displaced workers with employment opportunities, and then information and research. And there's a lot of data available, but where do you find it? So we want to be the go-to resource for individuals that are looking at wage analysis, job descriptions, training opportunities for incumbent workers, that sort of thing. We are the go-to. So last but not least, I think I stayed within my 15 minutes, Alashir. If anyone has any questions, would like to reach out to me, I will have sent the slide deck to Alashir if they want to share it out with you. You have my contact information. We'd be happy to meet with you one-on-one. My team is on this call too, and I know they would be happy to share some of the best practices that they've developed over the last few years. And certainly, I would direct you to check out the KentuckianaWorks.org website. That's our funder website and showcases some of the work that we do and how we do it. But I wanted to allow a couple of minutes if anyone has any questions for me about anything specifically. Otherwise, you're welcome to reach out to me one-on-one. Don't go too easy on me. All right.
And then if you guys have questions along the way, pop them in chat. We'll address it at the end as well. And Charlotte, thank you for sharing your approach. I mean, you guys have it down and are able to bring in partners. That sense of urgency is important to our businesses, right? I mean, they need talent yesterday. And so
Yes,
how do you make sure that you meet it? And that thank you for sharing your perspective and your approach. And again, you all share your thoughts in chat. We'll have a discussion afterwards as well. Jeremy, if you want to go next and talk about your approach in Tenco and your kind of experience with business engagement.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Thanks for inviting me, Alashir, and thank you, Charlotte, for that presentation. Debbie, if you wouldn't mind to look at you, you're rolling. Yeah. All right. So Debbie's going to drive my slides today. If anybody's got any questions or they want to make a comment, please feel free to take yourself off of mute and interrupt and ask the question. I would welcome that. Otherwise, you can just drop it in the chat there. So, Debbie, if you could pop us into presentation mode.
So it is not letting me go into presentation mode. I'll try to make this slide as big as I can.
Oh, okay. It's all good. All right. So there's really three things I want to try to share with you guys today. First, I want to tell you a little bit about our business service philosophy. I want to share a success story with you about what successful employer engagement looks like and what it can do for your region. And then I want to tell you a story about some innovative new things that we're trying as of just a couple months ago. So I've been on this job. On Friday, I'll celebrate my 10-year anniversary in this position. So, no applause needed. Thank you. But so I just want to tell you about what the approach and the philosophy that I brought to this position when I started a decade ago, and then how that sort of flushed itself out over the course of the last 10 years. So when I began, I came in with a little bit of a different philosophy, having a background in manufacturing. So I worked in human resources, also worked in safety, and also the last several years before I took this position, I was a plant manager in a small manufacturing environment. So I understood the needs of manufacturing, especially very well. I knew what it was like to sit on the other side of the table for folks like us. So I could really empathize with what was going on. So I sort of took a four-pronged approach. The first one being relationships. Everything that we do is relationship centric. And I think sometimes in our government world, we tend to get a little service centric we can do this for you and we can do this for you. And there's this pot of money and there's this grant that's available. Those are all good things, but it's all about relationships. Who do you call when things are falling apart? When you're having a difficult time, when you need advice, who do you call? You don't call a stranger. You call somebody you trust. You call somebody you know, somebody that you've seen, somebody you've developed a relationship with. So I knew that if we were ever going to make inroads into the business community, be a trusted partner at the table, we were going to have to develop a rapport and develop a trust and let people know that we had value and that we're bringing value to the table. So we don't really vomit a bunch of alphabet soup up on you and say, you know, OJT and AGT, you know, ADA and WOTC and all these different kinds of things. We said we want to develop a long-term relationship with you. And that's the second key point, is that everything that we do is focused on long-term investment, not short-term, not you have this problem today, we're going to help you solve this problem as quickly as we possibly can, and then close this up and move on. We knew that we were investing long-term. The companies that are in our areas, they're not here short-term. They've invested millions and millions of dollars, and they move people here. They're growing their business here. They're raising their families here. They're not in it for the short term. And our philosophy and our perspective should mirror that. So everything that we do was to invest long term. So it's not, you're going to meet me today and then you're not going to see me again. There's an expectation with every relationship that we initiate that you're going to see us all the time. Wherever business leaders gather, there we are also. So if they're at Chambers of Commerce, we're at Chambers of Commerce. If they're at plant managers meetings, we're there. If they're at SHRM conferences, we're there. If they're at the Kentucky Chamber Workforce Summit like last week, we're there. We want to be in the same rooms that business leaders are. So the most difficult part of our job is not initiating relationships, but instead maintaining relationships over the long term. Anyone can shake a hand and drop off a business card. We're not interested in that. We're interested in growing the relationship. You're going to see us again and again and again. We're going to be the same places that you are, and we're going to make your priorities our priorities. The other thing that we've done a little bit differently is prioritize hiring private industry talent. And I don't mean to step on anyone's toes, but I think sometimes we get a little too internally focused. A lot of us have been in our jobs for quite a while, and we understand the world of government very well, and we understand WIOA laws very well. But can we really empathize with what our key sector leaders are going through if we've not worked in those arenas? So one of the things that we do when we have an opportunity to hire for a job, we try to bring someone in who doesn't just have experience in workforce development, someone who's got experience in private industry. And that's been a really important key component for us when we're hiring our business service coordinators. We want to bring people in who have private industry experience. And then lastly, we value partnerships over money. A lot of folks think that the answer to all of our problems is always cash. We can't fix this problem because we don't have enough money. If we would just get this $50,000 grant or this $5 million grant, then all these problems would go away. That's nonsense. Money doesn't fix every problem. There are some problems that only partnerships and coordination and vision can fix. You can throw all the money in the world you want to at a problem, and that doesn't guarantee success. We've seen that with the war on poverty in Eastern Kentucky. It's been going on for 80 years, and there's been billions of dollars spent. We're still struggling with a lot of the same problems that we were. There's partnership and vision and innovation that are required to solve some of these problems. Money doesn't fix everything. And I think sometimes we paralyze ourselves by saying, well, we just don't have enough money to fix the problem that we're facing. Well, maybe money's not the answer. And maybe we've been leaning on money for a little bit too long. It's about relationships. It's about long-term investment. It's about hiring the right people to do the right jobs. So that's a little bit about what I brought to the table in terms of how I thought this job would work best. So Deb, if we can move on to the next slide, I want to tell you a little bit about the Independent Stave Company and how we saw this philosophy work. So Independent Stave was one of the first projects I worked when I took this job. back in 2013, one of the big recruitment projects that was happening at the end of 2013, beginning of 2014. But before I tell you more about this company, which I've really grown to respect and admire, does anybody know what a stave is?
I do.
Okay, speak up.
It is a piece of oak that makes a bourbon barrel.
That's exactly right. Well done. Gold star. I'm not driving, so I can't give you a gold star, but you deserve one. Bourbon being one of our signature industries in Kentucky, we all should be very aware of what a stave is. But I'm sure we've all seen bourbon barrels, the slats that are placed on the bourbon barrel and then united with the metal ring placed on the barrel vertically. Those are called staves. The individual pieces are called staves. So a bourbon barrel is really nothing more than a collection of staves, a metal ring, and a top and a bottom. So we began working with the Independent Stave Company in late 2013. They already had a presence in Kentucky with their facility in Lebanon in Marion County. And they were looking at potentially another location in Kentucky. So we worked really closely with the state economic development cabinet, as well as local economic development officials and elected officials in Morehead and Rowan County to work on the Independent Stave project. And you can see a picture there of their groundbreaking back in 2015. They chose to locate Morehead Wood Products in Morehead. It's a subsidiary of the Independent Stave Company. And Debbie, you can go on to the next slide if you want. They invested millions of dollars to get closer to where their natural resource was. Makes sense. If you're running a bourbon barrel company, you will be closer to where the trees are. So we certainly had a feather in our cap in terms of natural resource alignment. So they built this facility over the course of about a year and a half, and we were crucial, integral into not just their recruitment, but also into, again, maintaining a long-term relationship with this company, initiating it, and then following through on it. So this is the facility that sits on Cranston Road that wasn't there when I started this job 10 years ago, but now employs over 100 people and is generating millions of dollars into the local economy every year. And Debbie, if you want to move on to the next slide, some of the things that we were able to provide for Morehead Wood Products that made our location attractive to them, of course, was our location near to the natural resource that's most important to them. But also, we were able to provide them with labor market expertise. What are you going to have to pay in terms of labor? What's a good hourly rate going to be? All those sorts of things that we have local knowledge on. Recruiting and marketing their jobs, from setting up get to know you events at the Career Center and other places in the community, to highlighting their jobs on our social media and our job boards. We also engaged in an on-the-job training contract with them so that they could bring their folks in. It's a really niche thing. You can't really go get a degree in stave production or bourbon barrel assembly. So it's something it's local knowledge, it's niche knowledge. So they needed to train those folks on their staff at the facility. So we engaged in a long-term on-the-job training contract with them, did hiring events with them. And then, as Charlotte was mentioning earlier about the SWOT approach, it's really important that we bring all the partners to the table so that the company is not having to go try to find out who all these people are. So we always sort of accept the onus and the burden of, if you contact us and you have a need and there's something that you need outside of workforce, you don't have to go look for it. It's our job to maintain the relationships so that we can just bring those people to you. So if they need to talk to somebody about economic development incentives, we've got people at the Cabinet for Economic Development on speed dial. The labor market data, we know exactly who to contact at KY Stats and in the research department at CED. You need to talk about training. All right, well then we're so closely aligned in relationship with our folks in Workforce Solutions at our 2 community colleges in our region. We know exactly who to call. Yeah, you want to get more integrated in the community? Okay, well, let's make sure that you're a part of the Chamber of Commerce. And let's make sure you're a part of these plant manager organizations meetings that are going on. So the companies that you recruit that typically are good companies, long-term companies, the companies that you want there, they're not there just to steal your resources. They're there to be a part of the community. So one of the things I think we sometimes forget is figuring out how we can assist with community integration. How can you get them to chamber functions? How can you get them to the Rotary clubs? How can you get them to Kiwanis? How can you get them to the Lions Club meetings? All those sorts of things. Because if they're there for the long term, they're not just there to take, they're there to contribute and to be a part of the community. And the better job that we can do integrating them into the community and the better job we can do lifting their profile, the easier time they're going to have recruiting. So Debbie, if you want to move on to the next slide, they were so successful and so happy with the location, excuse me, of Morehead Wood Products, and had such great success, they decided to reinvest here. So in 2019, they made an announcement that they were going to invest $67 million in the local economy to build Commonwealth Cooperage. Now, quiz question number 2. We've identified what a stave is. What's a cooperage? All right, everybody's either asleep.
Don't make me answer again because
Yeah.
you're gonna know that I appreciate bourbon, but a cooperage makes
Isn't it?
barrels out of staves.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are right. If you got the staves, you gotta assemble them, and you assemble those staves into bourbon barrels at a cooperage. So they announced their initial investment from Morehead Wood Products to create more staves. And they were initially sending all those to their facility in Marion County. The plan was, let's see how things go in Morehead. Let's see what the labor and the workforce looks like. Let's see what kind of community support we get. And then if it goes well, our long-term vision is to build another cooperage in Kentucky. And if things go well in Morehead, that's where it's going to be. So after they opened this facility in 2015, proved that the workforce was here, that the support was here. 4 years later, they announced they were going to invest $67 million to build the cooperage. COVID has really slowed them down. The plan was for that facility to be ready early 2022. They're almost a year behind in terms of construction, but they have hired some key staff and are beginning that process early this year. So it doesn't always work this way, where you take really good care of the people that you have, and then they choose to reinvest tens of millions of dollars. But I don't think we want to sell ourselves short. They were testing us. They were testing Kentucky. They were testing the Tenco region. They were testing out the Morehead area. Is this going to go well? Because if it does, we think we can locate a cooperage there too. There's a reason that they didn't do the stave facility and the cooperage at the same time. That's the way it looks down in Lebanon. They wanted to prove that they had the support and the workforce they needed before they invested again. And we were able to make that case. By investing in their company and investing in long-term relationships, it was a massive win for our region. And the gentleman that I met back in 2014 and have continued a strong relationship with all the way through the last 9 years now actually holds a seat on our workforce board. And those are the kinds of relationships that we're looking to build with decision makers, with people where we can make a difference, and people who understand and want the same things that we want. Long-term relationships, excuse me, and stability for our communities. So that is one story of, I don't know, a dozen that I could have told of people that I've been working with over the course of the last 10 years who are happy and reinvesting and choosing when they have an opportunity internally to talk about where do we need to expand, where do we need to invest more money, which facility of ours all over the country needs another line. They're standing up and saying, we're getting the workforce support and we're getting the answers and the help that we need in Kentucky. Let's look at expanding there instead of somewhere else. So that's exciting. And I do think it has to do with the philosophy that we took to not just spit out pots of money and acronyms and abbreviations, but instead to choose to invest in those people and in those companies through long-term relationship building. All right, Debbie, we can move on to the next slide. I want to tell you just briefly about something else that we're doing, not necessarily to engage our business community, but to benefit our business community. And anytime you can bring something of value to the table that engagement is going to go up. So about this time, excuse me, last year, had an opportunity to go sit for an interview at WSAZ TV. If you're not familiar with WSAZ, they serve a lot of the eastern Kentucky counties. They have a presence in Portsmouth, Ohio, and Ashland, and Huntington, West Virginia. And we were doing a job fair in Ashland. So they invited us in to do a short 5-minute interview on their morning news segment called Studio 3. And it went really well. And before we left, we started getting text messages and calls from some of the staff at our Ashland Career Center that said, 3 people just showed up and said they saw you on TV. And I was like, huh, okay, that maybe there's something to this. But they showed up and said, tell me about the job fair. How can I get ready? Who's going to be there? And this was an avenue of outreach that I hadn't really thought about. So I met with one of their digital sales managers, and through the course of several months worth of conversation and negotiations and considerations, we've engaged in a digital ad campaign relationship with Gray Media, which is the parent company for stations like WKYT, WSAZ, and 30 other small news stations across the country. And Debbie, we can go to the next slide. And what we're doing is we are targeting people through email and streaming television ads to let them know that we are the partner they need in order to get a new job, a different job, training services, all those sorts of things that you can get at the Career Center. So what's that got to do with business engagement? If we can get more people interested in working, if we can move ourselves, from 47th in workforce participation to 40th, you don't think that's got a value to the business community? So we get monthly reports, and you can see I put a couple slides up there, and I know they're incredibly hard to read, but we get exceptionally detailed reports on exactly who's viewing our ads, who's reading our emails, what stations these ads are showing up on, what zip code the people live in. I don't know exactly how all this works. I just know that it does work. We have been able to specifically target people who are either not in the workforce, but could potentially be in the workforce, and people who are in the workforce, but may be looking for a new job. Those are the only people who get these emails and see these ads on their digital streaming televisions. I don't know how it works, but it works incredibly well. The reports we get every month show us how many people have read these emails or watched these ads, how many people have clicked the links in the emails, how many people watch the ad all the way through. As you can see, I just randomly pulled one of the reports. 45,000 people watched our ad just a couple of months ago. And you can see the ad, the results we get from the concentration of where the ads are being viewed. So I wanted to share with you today, if we can go to the next slide, Debbie, I don't know if this is going to work, since I'm going to let you put it into presentation mode, but this is the ad that runs on streaming television if you are in one of the 10 counties and you might be considering a job change. There you go. There's the play button popping up. Okay, well, you can watch it, but not hear it. But so this is it. So we do really well on several different networks, NBA TV, Sci-Fi Channel, HGTV, TLC. I'm not sure exactly what the parallel is there, but this little 30-second ad will pop up and it'll link you to our Facebook page. If you're looking for a job, you need training, any of those kinds of things, this is where you get it. And it's been really, really successful. Of course, there's a cost involved, but the cost per impression is pennies. And we're talking really nothing in terms of what we're spending in order to be able to engage with an entire population of people who never have to step foot inside a career center in order to engage with us. We think that's really important. COVID changed a lot. People don't go to physical locations nearly as much anymore. There's an Amazon box waiting on my porch every day when I get home. People want to be able to click through things on their phone and on their laptops and see what things are all about before they ever pay you a visit. So we've been doing a much better job with outreach. And that brings us to the next thing, which is our social media presence. And this is something that we watch really, really closely. We began a social media presence on Facebook 8 years ago. and that's our biggest platform. We have TikTok, we have Instagram, and we don't do as much there, but Facebook is sort of our bread and butter. We began this 8 years ago, and every year we've added just around 1,000 followers. So we're up to 8,000 followers on our Facebook page. And I've done a little research, and I guess I'm tooting my own horn here, but that's more than double any other local workforce area. So we made this a priority and continues to be a priority for us. I look at reports like this every day. Facebook does a really good job in terms of metrics and insights. Tell us exactly what posts are working, what time of day works best, whether links or pictures are more attractive. What do we get in terms of organic reach on all of our posts? And I watch this stuff like a hawk, and it really gives us a lot of good insight on what we need to be doing more of. We highlight jobs, we highlight certain employers, we highlight board members and staff. Again, just a way for people to interact with us and know what we do and figure out what we're all about without actually having to come into a career center. This government bubble we exist in can be a little bit hard to penetrate. So we've got to go out to people and do it under a united brand of the Kentucky Career Center. People don't understand area development districts and WIBs and this cabinet and that cabinet. Our most powerful ally in terms of public marketing is we're part of the Career Center. And people understand that. For better or worse, COVID made people understand what the Kentucky Career Center is, because so many were engaging with unemployment insurance. So they know that we exist now. But now it's our job to tell them, while we've got an audience, that, hey, we do more than just unemployment insurance. And we're really hitting that hard post-COVID. So I just wanted to end today with a reminder of my philosophy, the things that we've been able to prioritize, and things that our board and our staff have bought into. It's not about services. It's not about dollars. It's about partnerships. It's about relationships. And it's about investing in everything that we do in a long-term way. So that's us. That's a little bit about what Tenco Business Services look like and our philosophy. And I would love to take some questions or to field some comments from anybody who's got any. Also, feel free to take everything I said today with a grain of salt, because it's 74 degrees outside and I'm wearing a sweater. So I understand that I immediately killed my credibility.
I just wanted to share, this is Mary Ann Medlock with the West Kentucky Workforce Board. I am equally involved with the Benton Wood Products, which is a part of the Independent Stave Group, and their plant manager also serves on our workforce board.
Awesome. Independent Stave is just, I cannot sing their praises enough. An incredible company.
Agreed.
I think, Jeremy, you and Charlotte really take that innovation approach, right? I mean, we have the law that guides us, and the I is there to kind of expand and push the boundaries. And both of you have that kind of one-stop resource think tank feel to your communities, where there's so many partners that are doing various parts of workforce development, but they know the resource that they can get it all potentially from one partner and one relationship that you've built. I think this is great information, and I'm glad you all shared. This is exactly what this group and others that are engaged in the Partner Spotlight have asked for. How is business engagement done across the state? And here we have two good examples from two out of our 10 regions. I know we have some other representatives from other regions, and we have employers, we have partners on. If you guys have any questions, and because right now I think that whole consultative selling model is really catching on, and not to come in with your alphabet soup and your menu of options that are available in the workforce system. It's being able to listen and being able to catch those flags and know who to pull in. Any questions from this group?
Hey, Alisher, it's Karen. How are you?
Good. How are you, Karen?
Good. Jeremy, on your Facebook, do you do ads, or do you just do posts and look at the metrics on the post? Do you actually are you approved to do actual ads and then geofence and do that? Or are you just doing metrics on the posts? That's my
Right.
question.
Good. Yeah, really good question. So we do, we will do boosted post ads anytime there's a hiring event, something that's for the community. We had a little trouble, like Alistair said, trying to figure out how to get around the law and what is and isn't allowed in terms of outreach and things in our dollars. But anything that has a community focus, we've been told we're good to go. So we typically won't promote or do a boosted post for our company. But if we're hosting a career fair or something like that, or there's an event going on at the Career Center, then we will sometimes boost those posts, but we don't spend a lot of money, maybe a couple $1,000s a year at most.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
Mhm.
We really appreciate you all taking the time out of your day to share your model and not keep it a secret because they're successful and be able to share with the Commonwealth. Because as Marianne Medlock mentioned, some of these companies are all, they're located across our self-imposed lines that we drew, right? And so they work across the Commonwealth, they work across different states. I know we have our partners here from Michigan, Barton Mello, building the Glendale Blue Oval site, and they, I hope Kentucky has shown that company that we're about relationships and making things work too. So we appreciate you all sharing. Charlotte, Jeremy, thank you very much. As Debbie mentioned, we'll have this posted on the website, the recording, the presentations, and thank you all for being a resource. And if anyone wants a connection to either of the two, we'd be happy to make that arrangement and make sure we can support every region. But besides that, I will conclude that North Star strategic plan, goal number 1, employee engagement. You guys see it in action here. And the workforce system is better off when that kind of model is taking place, where partners are at the table and employer needs are met in the now and the future, and those relationships are long lasting. So thank you all for doing what you do. And we will see you next month, first Wednesday at noon. Most likely we're going to focus something on the re-entry side because it is a second chance month. So thank you all for joining today. Reach out to us anytime.
Thank you, Alistair.
Thanks.
Have a good one.